Hello boys and girls, welcome back to another video. I'm Sam from The Dev Way, and in this video we're gonna configure Lamp and Lemp stack on an Ubuntu machine. If you guys saw my Instagram post, I posted a micro content on Lamp and Lemp stack just to show you guys what it is. But in this video, we're gonna configure that from scratch on an Ubuntu machine so you guys know. And in the future videos, if we're programming in PHP or Python and we need that stack, I'm gonna refer you into this video so you guys configure that and be able to keep up with everything we do. So let's go and install that. Before that, make sure to follow me on Instagram. thedevway.com is my ID, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for cool content. We do all sorts of stuff tech related over here. And let's get into the video. I'm gonna make myself a little bit smaller. There we go. Because I don't have a Linux server that I'm willing to test stuff on right now, I decided to run a virtual machine on my computer, a Ubuntu virtual machine in a Vagrant box, and use that as a virtual server to configure these things and show you guys what to do from scratch. So we're gonna install that. If you guys don't have Vagrant, just search for how to install Vagrant box. You'll get plenty of options available, and we're gonna go through that together right now. So I'm gonna search install Ubuntu 18.6 Vagrant box, and we have a bunch of links over here that we can use. I'm gonna open this one, and basically installing Vagrant is pretty easy. In every operating system you can do that with a command. In Windows it's an exe file, in Ubuntu or other Linux machines or Mac it's just a command to install that. After you install that, you can run whatever machine you want to run on that VM. In this case, it's Ubuntu, and I'm going to use this command to run Ubuntu 18.6 over here. I already made the folder available over here, and I'm going to initialize my Vagrant box right now. And as you can see, it's initialized. We have a Vagrant file over here, as you can see, and this is the file that Vagrant uses to set up our box for us. If you don't have access to the Vagrant command, that means you don't have Vagrant installed. Just search for that, install that, and then do the initialization just like I did. And if you like to have another operating system, just search for that. You can install whatever machine you want. And for installing and setting up this box, I'm gonna say Vagrant up, and it uses this Vagrant file that we just created to create our machine for us as a virtual machine. It's a little bit time-consuming step, I suppose. No, it seems like my internet is super fast today. Yay! So yeah, it's setting up the environment right now. As you can see, it's configuring the SSH ports. So we will wait for the box to set up so we can configure stuff and SSH to it, just like a server, in a second. As you can see, it's done. And with the command vagrant SSH, we can simply go inside that and start our configuration. As you can see, it's just like a server. It gives us a terminal. It says it's Ubuntu 18.04, and we have access to the terminal now. What I'm gonna do right now is first to figure out the IP address that I can access this box that we just installed from my computer and machine, because we're gonna run our web servers on that, our websites on that, and we're going to be able to access that from outside this box, which will be our computer in this case. So I'm going to run ifconfig, and as you can see right now, our network is not configured. This is not an IP to be accessible from outside, and this is the loopback localhost IP. So what I'm going to do right now is to create a network interface with a local IP that I am able to access from my computer after I set everything up. So I'm going to come out of this SSH, and I'm gonna open that Vagrant file that we just created. Remember that? That is something that we can configure stuff in. So I'm gonna open this file and I'm gonna go through it. As you can see, you can do a lot of stuff over here, but right now I'm interested in uncommenting this line. And what this line does is it creates a network on the local IP of this IP that you guys see, and this IP will be accessible from my computer to this box, to this machine. So if we run any web servers, Apache, Nginx, databases, or after that a website in this box, we can see that website from outside this server, which is my computer. So I'm gonna uncomment that and I'm gonna save this file. And after that, I'm gonna reload my box. So this change gets affected on the box that we just created. It will shut down my VM and it will restart it. You guys can configure this from the start so you don't have to go through this process twice. But I just wanted to show you what happens if you don't uncomment that, so we're all on the same page. So we wait for a while and this should create our box once again with that configuration. And it's done. Vagrant SSH again to go inside the server or the box, and if config, and as you can see, this is added as another interface into our network and gives us an IP that with this we can access to this box from outside. So first step for LAMP is Linux. We just did that. We have the Linux. We can have the Linux on a server or a box or a Docker, whatever it is, Linux is done. Now we get into our web server, and for now I just want to install Apache. So I'm gonna type sudo apt-get install Apache 2. This is the command to install Apache on a Ubuntu machine. And as you can see, we have some errors. That is basically because we need to update our package manager. After installing the server, it's mostly a necessity to do that. Sudo apt-get update. It will update your package managers, so every package that you want to install is accessible. So I'm going to type sudo apt-get install Apache 2 again, and now we should be able to install that without any issues. And as you can see, it's going through the process. I don't think we have any issues right now. That's right, as you can see, the installation is done. That means we have Apache right now. To verify that, I'm gonna change directory or CD into our directory that Apache is installed, etc Apache 2, and I'm gonna ls. As you can see, we have the config files for our Apache that we're gonna later on play around with to configure whatever we want. Right now, I just need to verify that this Apache is up. We saw that the files are there. So I'm gonna do an if config again, and I'm gonna pick this IP that we created from the start to my browser to see if I get the Apache welcome page. And that works. Apache default page, it works. That means Apache is installed without any issues. And that means that with this IP, we have access to that box that we just created, and the default page for the port 80 is now Apache because we installed it. So let's go to the next step and install MySQL or MariaDB. I'm going to install MySQL in this case. Sudo apt-get MySQL server. Oops, I forgot the install. Install MySQL server. I'm gonna say yes, and MySQL should be installed in a second, guys, in a second. There we go. MySQL is right now installed and we can set it up right now. I'm gonna type mysql-u root and -p to see if we can go there. Access denied. That's normal because we just installed it. We need to set up the root password and the initial setups in order to be able to go to our MySQL. So I'm going to say MySQL secure installation. And for that, we need to enter the password for root. Right now, mostly its default is empty. So I'm going to click enter. But sometimes, like this case, it's not empty. So we need to find out what the password is. As I said, we just search and Google our way through that. Some versions of MySQL have this change, so we need to find out how we can get the initial password for MySQL. So I'm going to simply search MySQL default password after installation. Something like that should give us the... There we go. So after we install, we need to read this file as it appears, and there we go. Sudo cat etc mysql debian.cnf. This does not happen in all the versions of MySQL, but unfortunately they did some changes that make our job a little bit more difficult. But as always, we Google our way through and we find out. As you can see, the password is here. This is the initial password. They do this for security reasons, but right now we have the password. So we're gonna go through MySQL secure installation. We're gonna type the password. I think we need to be sudo MySQL secure installation. There we go, we're in. It says we need a validate plugin. I'm gonna say no to this. And we need the new password over here. I'm gonna type something simple. You guys can put whatever you want as a password. Remove anonymous users. That's what we wanna do. So we hit yes over here. Disallow remote login. If this is a server, we have to do this for security purposes so people cannot connect to our MySQL from outside the server and it's only accessible within the server. So I'm gonna say yes, disallow the remote login. There is a test database in MySQL. I wanna wipe it clean. So I'm gonna say yes. Reload privileges, that's something we wanna say yes to, and it says all done. There is a trick over here to make our job just a little bit more difficult. This is also happens in new versions of MySQL. If right now I say MySQL-u root and -p, which is the command to log into MySQL, we realize that the new password that I just put in does not work. And neither the password that we just copied, I'm gonna paste that in, it doesn't work. The reason for that is that the default setting for MySQL is right now the socket plugin, and most of the applications we need to put it in the native login so we can easily log in like this and we don't get this error. So that is something that happens in the newer versions of MySQL. It's something that we can get rid of. We just need to Google set MySQL to native login, something like that. And we get plenty of that. I'm gonna go here. And as you can see, we can do this with a simple query in our user. So I'm just gonna go inside the MySQL. There we go. If we do sudo, we can go in, but we don't want that. We want a native login, so we can go without sudo and don't get that error that we just saw. So we do use sudo mysql-u root-p, and we enter the new password that we just created there and we go in. Now we want to do it in a way that we don't use sudo to log in so that our applications in the future can connect to that as well. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to copy this query there. The query is a simple one. It's the alter user roots at localhost identify with MySQL native password. So it sets this password for our root @ localhost to our password. I just set tour, the reverse of roots. And this query takes that password and sets that for the user root at localhost to MySQL native password. So I'm going to write this and the query was okay. That's done now. If I go out now and without specifying the sudo, I'm going to type this and I'm going to type my password and we go in. So the socket plugin that was irritating for us and forced us to log in into MySQL with sudo command and be root all the time is gone now. It's native password now. So we can go inside the MySQL without specifying the sudo, which is good for most of our applications to connect to our database easily. And since we removed the remote access to the database, there shouldn't be any security issues in the future because we need to be inside the server to do this connection anyways. And that would be us and our password as long as the server is secure. So now we installed MySQL as well. Next step is to install PHP. I'm going to go back to my terminal and I'm going to type sudo apt get install PHP and we're going to say yes. This will install the P part of our LAMP stack, which is PHP now. You can install Python as well. You just need to configure Apache or Nginx, your web server, to run Python, and that is something you can Google, add some few lines and configuration into your web server and good to go. But right now we're going to do with PHP. PHP is now installed. To verify that everything is installed, I'm gonna go to my website root directory. The default is var www.html. As you can see, we have an index already here, and this index is basically that Apache welcome page that we just saw after installing Apache. This is something that I want to remove right now. rm, there we go. We need root sudo rm, sudo rm index html, and that is gone now. I'm gonna test if everything is installed right now. So I'm gonna create a index.php file. We just installed PHP, so that should be fine. And inside that, I'm gonna open a PHP tag, and I'm gonna say PHP info. Oops, we need to be root sudo nano index.php. We go inside again, we just type that in PHP info. There we go. We save it again. Now it allows us, because we are root, and we can change the owner of this directory from root to our current user, which is Vagrant, and we won't get this issue again. But I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna verify that this is installed. If you guys want to do that, the command is chown-r, and you just specify the HTML directory. Currently is the current directory. I'm gonna type this, and the owner will be Vagrant with the group Vagrant. If I run this command, the ownership of this folder that we put our websites on, and in this case our index.php file, will be the current user, and we don't have to use sudo anymore. This is the command to do it. I'm not gonna do it now. I'm just gonna exit, and I'm gonna go to my browser and go to that IP once again and see if we see the PHP welcome page instead of this. And there we go. This will tell us whatever is installed here. As you can see, Linux is there, PHP is there. That's why we see this PHP page installed. The PHP version is 7.2. You can install whatever version of PHP you want just by specifying the version, or just Googling what version you want to install. The Ubuntu version, whatever it is installed, and the PHP modules. And that means our LAMP stack with PHP and Apache is ready now. What I'm gonna do right now is to disable Apache and install Nginx, so we cover LAMP stack as well, because the only difference between these two are Apache and Nginx. We already have the Apache, now we go for Nginx. And for Python, I'm gonna have a challenge for you guys at the end of the video. I just want you guys to install and configure Python for this stack, and I'm gonna create a GitHub repository after that, to you guys can check if it's right or if it's wrong, or you guys can do the challenge and I will merge your pull request of that config file. So I'm gonna go and disable Apache right now. Stop. Apache is stopped now. If we go back to the browser and refresh the page, we see that we cannot reach it. That means we don't have any web server running on right now. So I'm going to install sudo apt-get install nginx instead of Apache, which makes our stack lamp instead of lamp. We wait for our good old nginx to get installed just in a few seconds, guys. Just in a second. There we go. It's installed now. I can verify by going to etc nginx. We see the web server Nginx files over here for configuring it in the future. If I go here and refresh the page, welcome to Nginx. We don't see the Apache welcome page anymore. We don't see our PHP page, but we see our Nginx. That means it's installed. Now we just want to run PHP with Nginx. So I'm going to go back to my website's home directory, var www and html. Let's change the ownership of this file so we don't get that irritating error anymore. Vagrant current directory. There we go. As you can see there, if I do ll, we see that the owner of the file is right now Vagrant instead of root that it was before. So that means I can change these files and save them without the need of using sudo command, and that is a good thing for now. So I'm gonna remove the Nginx welcome page, As you can see, we don't need sudo anymore, and run this. We get forbidden. And the reason for getting forbidden is that Nginx uses a module in PHP called FPM. And we need to install FPM in order to make PHP work with Nginx. And also, we need to configure something in Nginx that we're going to go through together and configure so we see that it runs it. Sudo apt-get php fpm, php-fpm. Oops, I forgot the install. There we go. And we hit yes. And this will install our FPM module for PHP in order to make it work with Nginx. And right now, we still can't see the website. We get forbidden because we need some extra configuration. And that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to cd to etc nginx. And as you can see, we have the configuration files. The configuration for our websites and virtual host configuration to land on a page is always in website available, both in Apache and Nginx. And right now I'm going to go to sites available, and you can see the default file in here, which is our configuration. We need the sudo command for this for sure, and we don't want to change the ownership of these files. Be careful, guys. When you're working with Linux, you don't want to always change the ownership of files. That will get you in serious issues, especially in these web server stuff. They need to be whatever they are most of the time. So I'm going to do sudo and get in. And as you can see, we have a server tag over here with some configurations of Nginx. We already have port 80, which is our web port, the port that we type the IP or the domain of the website, and we get into the website. That is our default server. It listens to port 80 as the default, and then it directs the traffic to the root folder of var www.html that we were just in and created our PHP info page. Here it says what files you need to run. And as you can see, PHP is not one of those types right now. So I'm going to definitely add index.php here in order to make it work. This is the first part of the configuration. And furthermore, I want to come down here and uncomment these location PHP tags in order to make it work. The beginning and the end of the tag needs to work. Also, I need to uncomment this first line, which basically includes the CGI configuration to run the PHP files with PHP FPM. So this is something we definitely need. Next one is the configuration of this CGI. I'm going to uncomment this as well. And as you can see, it's running PHP with PHP FPM. If you don't install the PHP FPM, it's not going to work. Now we installed PHP FPM and we have it. But remember, guys, we had PHP 7.2 installed, not PHP 7.0. If I put it 7.0, we're definitely going to get error. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change it to 7.2. Pay attention to this config when you're doing this, because you need to put your current PHP version there. And I'm not going to configure this because I want it on the port 80, and this is the socket port. I just want the default, and the configuration for that part is done. And you don't need to change most of these configurations as well, unless you need to do that, and unless you search something on Google that you need that configuration and it tells you to do so. So just stick to whatever you have to do. So I changed that file, I saved it, and I'm gonna restart Nginx in order to make it work. Otherwise, you cannot have the changes that you just made. Sudo service nginx restart, and this means that it's restarted because we don't get any errors. We go back to our IP, we refresh the page, and boom, we see the PHP welcome page now, but this time with Nginx, not the Apache, and this makes it Lamp stack, not Lamp. As you can see, we see that this is running with PHP FPM and this fast CGI, the ones that we just configured for Nginx. And we should be able to verify that this is Nginx right here. I just searched in the page Nginx and it says The server software is Nginx 1.14, and that means that this is running on Nginx. So right now I have both of them installed. Web server is something that you just need to choose whatever you want to work on. I myself prefer Nginx over Apache because of the freedom it gives me, and it's somehow faster, but both of them are great tools. Just depending on what you need, pick one and stick to one. You don't have to install both of them, just pick one of them. And that's it. This was the configuration of Lamp and Lemp stack, but with PHP and not Python. And now we get into the challenge I have for you guys. And this challenge would be try to install Python instead of PHP, and then try to configure one of your web servers to run Python on a production instead of PHP, just to play around with it and see how it works and how you can run Python with Lamp or Lemp stack. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got value from it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to hit me up on Instagram, thedevway.com. And yeah, we have a good chat there together. We engage, we talk. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.